is Saturday morning. We're doing some light joint warm up, moving our joints through their full range of motion to slowly wake up, move a little smoother, and hopefully get your days started. All right. So, first thing we're going to do is move further away from the camera so you can actually see me doing stuff. Next, we're going to slowly work from our fingertips up our arm into the shoulder. Then from the shoulder, we're going to move into the neck, torso, back, and down the legs, down to our feet. All right. So let's wake up our hands first. We're going to open up our hands as big and wide as we can. If you have the flexibility to lift your fingers back a little bit, feel free to do so. Make some fists. They don't have to be really intense, crazy fists. You don't have to, like, go prepare to punch somebody, but for a couple of seconds now, just move your fingers through their full range of motion. If you can do it gracefully, you can do it with some fanciness. Feel free to do that. It makes it a little bit more fun, and that is very important because if it's not fun, it's gonna be much harder to do. All right. Once you've done a couple of these, 10, 15, 20 reps or so, they don't have to be intense. All right. You're not trying to grip for your life here. You're just trying to gently move your joints through their full range of motion. All right. Whew. Once you moved your fingers through, we're going to move on into our wrist circles. All right. I want you to slowly use one wrist to rotate the other. Hey, Jerez is me. Oh, wait, I'm super close to the phone. I can actually read it this time. So I'm going to scoot a little closer. We're doing some wrist circles. We're slowly using our hands to bring our wrists around in a circle. Work those wrists. Once you've done that a little bit, switch to the other direction. Come on back around and keep going. And going, and going, and going. The wrist circle should be pretty fast. We're not trying to, go and apply a whole bunch of pressure to the wrists. That would make it not so fast. You can do versions of this with your own, with just one wrist. You don't have to use both wrists. But using the other hand to push down a little bit on the hand that's rotating, it's gonna make it a little easier to hit some of those deeper little parts of your wrist. Alright, that's probably good. We're tired. It's a good sign to stop. We're gonna move down to our elbows. Alright. The elbows' main job is to do this. Flex and extend. Alright? Flexion, extension. But what we are going to do to warm up our elbows is gonna look not at all like that. I'm going to scoot really far from the camera for this, and we're going to do this. We're going to bring our hands to our ribs. Right, we're going to do some chicken wings. Then we're going to scoot the hands out and back, and then bring them all the way around. Right, scoot and out, and scoot and out. We're getting the rotation to kind of happen because the elbow is going through this motion. Right, in circles. Cool? Alright, let's do this. Elbows into the ribs and around. Ribs and around. Chicken wing 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 and around. I don't know if it's too early for this much chicken wing energy. But clearly I just woke up and ugh, my energy's starting to pick up. So let's do the other way around. We're gonna have our arms out to either side, right? And then we're gonna tuck it to our ribs until we get chicken wing. Then we're gonna pull our arms through and then around, pull and around and pull and around, pull and around, pull and around, pull and around, pull and around. When you're first starting, your shoulders up here are gonna get real tired because they're gonna be like this. Ah, yes, chicken wings, of course. But when you can, try to let those shoulders unclench, relax a little bit, and keep going. Chicken wing, chicken wing, chicken wing, chicken wing. I don't know how many of these we've done, but that's probably at least 10 or 15. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna do some arm circles. Queen R says good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Alright, let's continue with some arm circles. Take it down, bring them all the way around. We're talking about shoulders up here because this is what we colloquially call shoulders, right? But your shoulder blades, these lumpy, hard things in your back here on either side of your back, those things float around. A whole bunch of different muscles. I think it's 16 different muscles. Stick to them and keep them in place. Which means if a handful of them are really strong, it kind of messes up the balance with the other ones. And that could be not so bueno. This is why arm circles is important. No, I'm not. I can't remember why I started going on the tangent. I was like, we're still doing arm circles. Why am I talking about this? Arm circles are important because they involve a whole bunch of these muscles, and it's important that your arms are able to go through their full range of motion. You see this big old circle that we're making? That's what the arm's supposed to be able to do. One of the advantages of this is that you can do a whole bunch of stuff. One of the disadvantages of being able to do a whole bunch of stuff is a whole bunch of muscles are involved. And just as I was saying about the shoulder blades, and by the way, switch directions or whatever, even it out. If one direction feels exhausting, feel free to switch to the other arm and continue. One of the benefits of all of this arm and shoulder mobility is you can bring your arm into crazy places. You can do all sorts of stuff, right? And all this. And that looks real cool. If you couldn't, dance would be a whole nother genre of activity. Can't move your hands? What? Um, oh, my shoulders are waking up too. Okay. The con, like I said, is that all this mobility requires a little bit of stability in the form of our muscles contracting. And that means our muscles need to be able to work. We need to be able to contract to keep our arms in places. This is often why we have so many people with like shoulder injuries because there's just a lot going on and a lot of things need a lot of training, especially when you get really good at one thing or one or maybe a handful of muscles get really good and strong at doing the thing that they need to do. The rest of them get a little bit abused, right? Because imagine in your shoulder blades, three muscles pulling really hard and all the other muscles holding on for dear life. So it's okay for a little bit, right? Your body just figures out, just tries its best. Maybe you have some like tightness, and you're like, oh man, I'm always tight all the time. I wonder why that is. And then you ignore it because you're like, I got life to live. Then after something crazy that you're doing, you experiment with handstands, and you're like, I'm so strong. Look at me. I can like bounce up and down on my hands, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, what's that? Huh? And that's my version of an exaggerated story because I do handstands. So, all right, those are arm circles. Hopefully, you've gone forward, you've gone back. Your shoulders, the ones we talk about typically when your shoulders are so tight. These shoulders plus the shoulder blades have done a little bit of movement, and we're gonna move on into our next. Actually, no, we're not. We're gonna very intentionally shrug first. I want you to bring your these shoulders, and I guess your shoulder blades are involved in that, up as high as you can. Make your neck disappear, and then let them down and relax. Let's do that a couple of times. Up and down, and up and down, and up and down, and up and down. Have you felt the energy change since we began? My energy was so low when the live started. And now I am like a little energizer bunny. This is probably why we should do this show more often. You know how long it takes me to wake up normally? So I should just start doing wrist rotations and elbow rotations and shoulder rotations and arm circles and okay. Once you've done those for a while, now your shoulders are probably real tired. But what we were trying to work on was making sure you got the ability to relax on demand. This is not going to be an easy skill to learn overnight, but we want you to recognize that you're holding tension in your shoulder sometimes, and when you recognize it, it's a little easier to go and let the shoulders drop down. All right. Maybe it'll come up one day and you'll be like, aha, Ken said something about this that one time, and then maybe not. Lovely says, why are your legs so little? I don't know. I was born this way. I'm sitting in a stool. Maybe it's a camera angle, but I hope that's what you're referring to. All right, let's continue. We've moved through the shoulders. Now let's move on into the neck. The head is designed to rotate from side to side, and we are going to do a little bit of that. I want you to sit up nice and straight and tall, all right? I don't want you to be super slouched forward because that'll just change all of the angles up, and that's not what we want. So try and sit up nice and straight and tall. Keep that head neutral, level. We don't want you to chin up or chin down. We want to keep it pretty neutral. Cool? Like you're supposed to be when you take pictures at the DMV. From here, I want you to look directly to the left. Rotate, 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 rotate. Woo. And then I want you to look to the right. Rotate, 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 rotate. Keep the chin neutral. Don't start wiggling your head all over the place. That is asking more from your neck than we're looking for right now. All right. Side to side. Keep going. Left and right and 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 left and right. Do I have the other earbud in? I do. I have both in. Okay, cool. One ear felt more blocked off, sort of like I'm a little congested, and the other ear felt less congested because I have two different earbuds in, one for each of the phones doing the lives, and um, for some reason I felt like there was nothing in my right ear because I could hear so clearly my own voice in my right ear. Sad, too sad, and sad, too sad, and sad, too sad. All right, that's probably good. We're gonna do the other angles that your neck is supposed to be able to do. All right, we're gonna lean to the left, lean to the right, and we're gonna look up and look down. So, tucking the chin is how you can think about the up and down. I want you to bring the chin down towards your chest, and then I want you to lift the chin so that you are looking up into the sky. If you have a relatively normal range of motion in your neck, you should be able to look slightly behind you. Try to keep your upper body relatively neutral. Try not to, open up like this and have your chest go all sorts of places because now you'll be doing back bends and you'll be able to see way farther behind you. That's not what we're doing. We're working on the neck. All right. So chin down, chin up, chin down, chin up, and down, and 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 up. All right, that's probably enough. We got one more angle to move. What are we doing? Going and tilt it from side to side. All right, it's basically like bending sideways from your spine, a little like this, except we're gonna do it with our necks. So let's do this. Stand up nice and straight and tall. Keep your eyes neutral. Don't tilt your head now, right? We did the tilting, the back and forth. Keep that chin pretty neutral. And we're going to lean to the left and right. Ready? Boom. Left. Boom. Right. When you're doing this, you're going to feel, maybe even see Some of your neck muscles going crazy up here. That's absolutely what we want. Cool? Let's go. Left and right and left and right. You don't have to flex the neck muscles, all right? That's not the point. The point is to work your joints, relax them, move through your range of motion. If you start flexing real hard, you'll start obsessing on this flexing and not so much on the range of motion that you're trying to reach. All right? One of the stretches that you can take away from this movement, as you're probably feeling it right now, is doing a neck stretch where you lean your neck from side to side and you feel this getting that nice stretch. One thing you can do, and I'll show you in a sec, is grab the bottom of a chair and use that for a little bit of resistance. There's a lot of words. I'll show you in a second. We'll have demonstrations real soon. Okay. Once you've done 10, 15 of these on each side, let's talk about the stretch. What I want you to do is grab the bottom of your chair if you're seated. If you're just standing, which is totally doable, go find a chair. Put your hands on the bottom of the seat, and if you lean and you lean over against the direction, away from the arm that's grabbing the bottom of the chair, it should tighten up these muscles here in the tops of your shoulders, maybe in your delts and down your arm. When you tilt your head and you start getting these muscles to get into a nice deep stretch, that's already a good start. But to add a little bit more to it, you can grab your own head with the other arm, give that a little pull. Inhale, exhale. See if you can lean into it a little bit. That should get you a huge stretch on the left side of your body, or whatever side this is for you if you're mirroring. And oh, and the same on the other side. So now you got some extra tips for stretching out a tight neck, a tight shoulder. We're gonna move on. We did the necks. We're gonna move into the torso. Come back out of your sitting position and let's talk about the chest. We're going to do something that looks like this. Some rotation to start. I want you to use your chest to rotate your body and point left, or at least look left and look right. So your head's not looking, your chest is pulling you to the direction you need to be in. So we're using our body to do that. Try to keep your hips in more or less the same spot and rotate from the spine. If you know you got spine issues, this might not be the move for you. If your spine you think is relatively healthy and is probably normal, then it should be fine for you to keep going. All right? Rotate, rotate, rotate. As you do a couple more of these, you don't have to be so strict on form. You can take it a little bit more chill. And you can let your arms kind of take part in the journey, in the adventure. You can let the arms sort of flop from side to side, and moving them is not the goal. It's just extra fun. All right? Rotate and rotate and rotate and rotate. Once you've done a couple of these and have gotten used to it, if you want to just swing your arms around like a little kid waiting for something to happen, perfect. Helps relax your arm muscles, helps rotate your chest and rotate your spine. If you want to turn this into one super movement, you can add in the neck rotations. You can look over your shoulder on each side so you get a little extra benefit. We've broken it down so you can focus on one joint at a time. But if you're feeling comfortable with the movements, feel free to add a little bit more so that you get rotation from your head all the way down to your waist. All right? The arms, by the way, are for fun. You don't have to focus on them at all. You could absolutely do this and keep your arms completely relaxed the whole entire time. Oh, that's way less fun. We're gonna move down. We're still in the spine, but now we're gonna do some bending. All right, I want you to work on some side bends. Your spine is designed to move in lots of different directions. Most of us don't use very many of them. So we're going to do some side bending after that rotation. When we do side bends, there's a couple of things I want you to note. I don't want you to be like doing this while you're side bending. All right, I want you to try your best to bend directly to the side. So one thing you can do is move your butt to a wall. Once your butt is against the wall and your shoulder blades are also against the wall, if you have a couple of feet of space along the wall, you should be able to let your shoulders slide down the wall while your butt is still touching the wall. That will get you this nice stretch out here on this side, and then some nice contraction here on this side, and ooh, come on back into standing. Oh, take your time, breathe. You can also imagine your hand sliding down the side of your leg to initiate that bending. Oh. If your balance is not so great, feel free to get to the corner of a wall and have, something you can lean against if you need to. Something you can go grab your arm and go, pull me back into standing. This should be gentle. All right, we're not trying to squeeze ourselves to our maximum depths. We want to let our joints slowly do the work once you put in the reps and the muscles start relaxing. Oh, okay, we're probably done. Have I been keeping count of how many we've done? No, but we're probably done because I'm feeling like we're done. We're moving on. We're gonna move on to some flexion and extension. That is basically cat cow. All right. If you're down for some quadruped cat cow, quadruped just means your hands and legs are down, all four of your limbs are down, and or using all four limbs. When you have your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, we want to bring the belly button down first. And that might mean you got to put an arch in your spine. All right? Bring the belly button down low. Then do the opposite with your chest. Lift and open up your chest. Lift your neck and lift that chin a little bit. Feel the spine bending upwards. And then doing the other direction. Bring your mid back up into the air as high as you can. Push through your shoulders. Arch that, or bend that back, not arch that back. And tuck your chin to your chest. Whew. You should feel these muscles in the back getting stretched out a little bit. And, oh, let's do it again. Up and down. And up and down. A lot of the other movements we did, we went pretty fast because it was nice and gentle. This is probably going to be a little bit more focused on control. A lot of the time, that is going to be because backs tend to have a lot of injuries and things over the years, and I think it might be the number one type of pain that people complain about. So be gentle, take your time. In a relatively healthy back, this should be absolutely fine. If you know you got some back injuries and have not addressed them in the past, or not thoroughly addressed them because it's just been a lingering issue, you might want to be a little bit more careful when we do these motions, especially if you thought you were gonna just go boom, pa, boom, pa, and you're gonna start torquing. All right, that might not be so safe if you have an old injury, but only you will know that. Oh, whew. All right. I feel like we've done a whole bunch. My back is feeling quite loose, and I think that means it's time to move down to the hips. All right, all right, all right. Whew. What have we covered so far? We did some finger opening, fist clenching to get the hand joints working. If you want to add some cool stuff to it, you can do cool things with your fingers, right? We did some wrist circles to warm up our wrists. Wrist warm up is super important in basically everything because your hands are very dexterous, right? They do things. When those muscles, when those joints are not happy with you, it's going to be much harder to do things. And unfortunately, because our hands are so dexterous, they can do things. There's like, I think 3 dozen muscles in just your hands. A lot of them are tiny little muscles that you'll never go out of your way to train. It's not like your bicep, right? Where you're like, big muscle, train now. It's a bunch of tiny muscles that most people don't do anything to train. And when they get a little tense, when they get a little messed up, your hands will be very unhappy, a little bit uncomfortable. That is why we warm them up. All right. We moved into the elbow joint, which has a movement that looks a little bit like this. And then we did some arm circles, we did some neck stuff, some shoulder stuff, some spine rotation, spine bending, spine back and forth. Now we're going to move down to the hips. The hips are designed to be mobile. All right. There's chunks of your body that's designed to be very mobile and chunks of your body that's designed to be very stabilizing. Your hips are designed to be very mobile. Is because your legs, just like your arms, can do all of this crazy stuff. And that means a lot of the time our hips need some training to help stay stable. We talked about this earlier when we talked about how your shoulder blades are just floating around there because they're attached by like 16 different muscles. And so when you get some super strong and some not so strong, one pulls on the other, and then all of a sudden your hips are doing crazy things, or your shoulders are doing crazy things. Same general principles apply to the hips. All right. We're going to start with some hip circles. I want you to pop that hip out to the side. I want you to push the hip forward and then come on around. Nothing crazy. Just slowly working through a little bit of hip range of motion. If you feel some muscles getting a little bit of extra tension, maybe something shifting around, as long as it's not painful, it's probably okay. Keep going. Oh, we do a side splits and hip mobility show in the evenings. I know a lot of you are, from that show because that's our main show, and this is our weekend start your morning show, and it's a little bit more fun and gentle, if you can call this gentle. Ugh. Okay. But because the hip mobility and side splits show is the main show, when I get to like this position right here, I got some tight hip muscles, somewhat related to the joint that suffers the most when we do side splits. And when you move a little faster through, or at least when I move a little faster through them, it kind of feels funny. Oh. All right. And it feels funny because I'm like perpetually just a little bit sore. Not because the side split show is like bad for your joints or something. It's because I do the show every day, and so I'm always a little tiny bit sore. And then when I get into the position where that muscle is getting massaged and moved around, and my hips are moving into it, I go, "Oh, hello, hello, muscle." Okay, we've done a whole bunch in at least one direction. If you haven't swapped by now, swap to the other side. Keep on rotating. Oh. I want you to get to a point where you're not thinking so much about each of the joints and articulating each tiny little movement anymore. I kind of want you to just be like, oh yeah, and start daydreaming, have a little bit of whatever you want to think about in the morning while you casually, smoothly move through your range of motion. That would be amazing. So, aspire to that. Moving on, we're moving down the hips. We're going to move down to the knees. I want you to bring your legs relatively close together. It doesn't have to be touching. In fact, maybe not, don't touch, but close. A couple fingers in between your legs. All right. We're gonna pop into a tiny, tiny little partial squat to get the knees slightly bent. Cool. A little tiny sorority squat. Got it? From here, I want you to keep your feet relatively flat to the ground. They can lean a little bit, but I don't want you to be like this, where only like one edge of your foot is off the ground. That's too much leaning. We're gonna lean slightly to the left. We're gonna bring the knees around. We're gonna come back up. We're doing some knee circles. All the way around. I have no idea how many of these I want to do. But when my knees feel more comfortable, I'll tell you. think we've already done like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is real good for activating some of the little muscles in your feet because you're putting your feet through these kind of crazy ranges of motions for a second. And then let's go the other way. I think we did about 15. Keep going. Around and 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 around. Remember, these are to warm up your joints. They should not feel super crazy or uncomfortable. That would be beyond the purpose of our movements. We're trying to lubricate the joints so that they move a little smoother, they move a little better, so that you can do cool stuff without going, ooh, my joints. Oh, okay. That's knees. We're gonna move down to the ankles. Same thing that we did for the wrists. We're gonna do some ankle circles. We're gonna try and bring our feet through their full range of motion like this. You got lots of options. If you're new to the show and you're like, what? My ankle is supposed to do what now? Feel free to sit your butt down, cross your legs up, and grab your foot and go, and force your foot to experience full range of motion circles. You can experiment with this. You can have some fun. You can rotate the other way and go, oh, what? This is a weird circle. My wrist's doing a much better job at this. That's all good. We're just learning about our bodies, taking a little bit of time to give them a little bit of love. Use the pieces. I'm sure you've heard the expression use it or lose it, or motion is lotion, and that is what we're doing for our ankles. Our ankles carry a lot of burden, right? Every time you take a step, they're involved. They're doing some pretty heavy lifting for our daily lives. So, if you can spare some time to give them some love, to give them some extra care, work them all the way through their full range of motion, it might be good for those ankle joints that keep on suffering the same back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to have some extra love. All right. Once you've done a couple in one direction, you're like, that's enough. We could move and rotate the other direction. You can switch the foot that you're doing. You might notice one ankle, or maybe both ankles, are making a lot of sounds. They're going ka-cut, 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 ka-cut. If your ankle is cracking a little bit and it's not painful or anything, it's probably okay. If it's painful, you might want to get that checked out. That's it. If you're tired of using your own feet, sorry, using your hands to move your feet around, there's some other options. One of them is if you've gotten the chance to familiarize yourself with the motion, you can do ankle circles using your leg muscles. You don't have to do them with the hands, but sometimes you need a little bit of resistance. You need a little bit of an extra push to bring yourself into position that you want to get into, because maybe you don't have the muscles to pull all the way up that your leg is capable of, or whatever direction it's trying to go. So you can also use the floor. When you lean into the floor, you sort of bring your heel off the ground. You can bring that foot all the way around and do some ankle circles like this. Woo! Looks a little like a dance move. This knee is going crazy, but don't absorb all of your attention into the knee. Remember, it's about the ankle. Ankle circles. You'll be tempted oftentimes during these joint mobility things to go a little faster. Go, oh, I'm almost done. I'm just doing 10. I'm just doing 15. Sometimes that's okay. For the ankles, it's definitely not one of them. Right? You don't want to be in a weird ankle position and then step down and then have your ankles be really unhappy with you. So, especially when we're dealing with the ankles, feel free to hold on to something for balance. Feel free to take a chill pill, breathe, and relax. Cool. I'm pretty sure this leg is done. We've been doing it for a long time, but I don't think I went the other way at all. So I'm gonna go the other way. Ooh, the inside of that left ankle feels like it needs a little extra love. All right. Hopefully you have done a whole bunch of ankle stuff and you have not been following me on when to switch to the other side and you just felt like intuitively that you're pretty even right now. If not, even it out. We got 5 more seconds. 5, 4. Ooh, my ankle is super cracking on this side. That's new. 3, 2. Maybe it's because I started running last week. 1, 0. Shake out your legs. Let them relax. Flop. If you are a regular in the side splits and hip mobility show, you probably know about the shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, wiggle, 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 relax thing that I like to do. What that's all about, if you don't know, is making sure your muscles are relaxed. If you're moving like a piece of overcooked spaghetti, chances are a whole bunch of muscles in your body are just relatively chill. Cool? And that is us being relaxed and having it a little bit easier to move around. When you have a whole bunch of muscular imbalance, perhaps because you're always in a certain position, certain muscles are always tensing and certain muscles are always relaxing, sometimes it can cause a little bit of discomfort. So, one of the ways to reduce stiffness is to just keep it moving so that that muscle doesn't just clench down and then stay clenched for forever. That often happens when we're sitting down in a chair focused on our work and all of a sudden 8 hours has passed and you're like, oh my gosh, my back, it don't work. That To prevent some of that, the main thing you can do is just shift around. Do a little wiggling in your chair. Do some dance moves, all right? Now that you've gotten that super encouraging, maybe not so helpful advice to move around more, hopefully, hopefully it's useful. We're gonna move on down to the toes, and we're gonna wrap up with a little bit of feet training. I want you to notice that your toes can do everything, or most things that your hands can do. You can spread your toes like you can with your hands. You can make fists with your toes by clenching the toes down. You can do the opposite. You can lift your toes up so that they do this, sort of like your fingers. I don't have very flexible fingers that go back. I've checked with my dad. He also has really bad fingers that don't go back at all. And this is the best I got. But I have seen people who can go boom, and the angle of that finger like goes all the way back here. I have no idea what that's about. But I'm gonna just chalk that up to genetics. Your toes can do some version of that too. All right, by lifting your toes up so that the ball of your foot, the heel is down, and everything else is going all the way up. There are some muscles that are in your feet where they're not going to be as precise and as controlled as they are in your fingers. But the reality is, we haven't trained our toes to do anything. So, how would you know if it's precise or not? All right, let's go. We're gonna I'm gonna step really far away. I'm gonna find a corner of the phone where there's no chat, and I'll be over here so you can see me struggling with my toes. Heel, ball of the feet. Lift your toes up as high as you can, and then we're gonna clench them. Bring your toes down. Clench them, and then do the opposite. Open, close, open, close, open, close. You might find somehow that this is easier on your toes than it was on your hands. I think it's because your feet typically go through a lot more stuff throughout the day and are just a little stronger than you give them credit for. But at the same time, that's only what they're good at. There's plenty of muscles in your feet as well. I can't remember the exact number, but it is in the dozens of muscles, like 20 plus, I'm pretty sure. But I'm not certain what the exact number is. That means the arch of your foot, those are called intrinsic muscles, muscles that you don't necessarily actively control. And my feet are tired. I hope you're also done doing the toe close and open thing. What am I saying? That means that plenty of times certain muscles in your feet are going to be really strong because you keep on using them to do the same thing. Maybe you're short like me and we do a lot of tippy toe. We go, what's up there on the top shelf? And Maybe your big toe is really strong. But that does not mean the arch of your foot is strong. It does not mean other parts of your foot musculature is strong. And that means maybe it needs a little bit of training. All right. We don't need to go too deep into that. We're going to keep moving our joints. We brought the toes up. We closed them. And now we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do some calf raises looking things, but not actually doing them. I want you to bring the knee forward. I want you to bring the toes up into a nice stretch, like this. I want you to put a little bit of weight on those toes in front of you. Maybe bring this foot back a little bit so you can almost do a little bit of a lunge. Put some body weight into it. And then I want you to do the opposite. I want you to bend the toes so that they're making that fist again. I want you to apply a little bit of pressure, bring them down. Before, we were using our own muscles, contracting those toes, and now we're applying some outside pressure using our body weight and gravity to do a little bit of that. Similar, but different. And these will be a little bit more tiring on your feet, especially after you did the open, close, open, close, open, close actively with your muscles. Switch to the other side. When you do the toes bent backwards, toes making a fist thing, you might feel a big stretch in the top of your feet in the front over here. That is normal. Try to be careful. If your balance is not so good, definitely hold on to something when you're applying a little bit of pressure. If your feet are very sensitive because they've never done anything like this before and you're going, what the heck are these sensations? What are these feelings? That is absolutely normal. Your feet has more ability to sense things than pretty much any part of your body. And when they're in shoes all the time, or when they're on perfectly flat surfaces like most of our lives are, they tend to be. Someone said their toes cramped up. How do they do that? Toes cramped up? That's pretty normal. When you put yourselves in positions that your muscles aren't ready for, aren't prepared for, don't actually normally end up in, that happens all the time. Your body's going, what is this position? And then it tries to figure it out, and then it works too hard, and all of a sudden you got cramp. See if you can stop switching back and forth. Find the opposite of the position that you're in so you can stretch out that muscle and then you can call it there. Where was I going with whatever I was talking about with the toes? Give me a second. I'm going to let the dog in. He's jumping on the door and I don't like it when the dog damages my door. Dog damaging my door. All right. You didn't even say hi to me. Rude. Okay, moving on. We've gone through pretty much all the joints in the body, slowly woken them up with a little bit of gentle rotation. These movements in general are going to be really good for keeping your joints moving nice and smooth. Just like everything in life, you get better at what you practice, right? It's not just the big motions where you're doing bicep curls. You got real good at bicep curls. Some of the little joints, little details in your body need that love too. So, hopefully, in the last, how many minutes we've been running? 45 minutes. You've reviewed, learned, tried some new things to get your body a little bit smoother, a little bit looser, and you got some tools to break out for whenever you need to just go, oh man, my shoulders are so tense, until they're a little looser. Cool. We're gonna move down. Yeah, I guess we're going down. We're moving to some posture stuff. All right. Posture is one of those topics the internet loves, and most people go, oh, I have horrible posture. I want to tell you that posture is basically your body being lazy as heck, so it can conserve energy. Your body is designed to be very, very adaptable so that you can save as much energy as possible. Posture is one of those things where if you are trying to do something at a desk for 8 hours a day, and you're looking down a little laptop screen, so your head is like tilted downwards, your whole body is going to find the easiest way to hold on to that position without using your muscles. That is great because your body is like, hey, look, this person spends 8 hours here in this position, maybe 10, maybe 12, depending on if you video game afterwards or do other cool stuff, but, in that position. If you drive, basically also in that position, or maybe you recline the seat back a little so you're like this instead of this. If you are sitting on public transit reading your phone or scrolling or doom scrolling, you're like this, you're still basically in this position for a couple more hours every day, right? It is going to be really hard to undo the position that you spend all of your time in. What you can do to help try to counteract some of the things that you are doing is strengthen some of those back muscles. All right, to do the opposite of what the muscles are currently doing when you're in your normal resting posture position. One of those things you might now know because you've been on the show a couple of times is your whole entire upper back gets real stretched out, gets real loose when you hang out in this position, right? Because when the muscles are decently tense, your shoulders will pull back, some of these muscles will tense up, and you'll get into this position. But when you slouch, all of that opens up, it's getting stretched up here. And it's also getting stretched and becoming weaker at the same time because you're probably not doing enough pull ups to make that count either. But when you're here in this position for long periods of time, these muscles get really, 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 really long relative to their total maximum length, and they stay in that long position all the time. And these muscles here in the chest, they tend to get a little shorter. So we're going to try and train the body to do the opposite of that, to lengthen, open up the chest, and also to contract and pull down in the upper back. I'm telling you all this to explain what posture is all about, why it will be really difficult to fix posture no matter what people say, because you're fighting, 8, 10, 12 hours of whatever it is that you do with 10, 15 minutes of exercise once a week, 3 times a week, however many times a week you're trying to train it. That's a hard ask for a couple minutes of training. The best way to slowly change your posture is actually just not to be in that position for nearly as long as you currently have been. Finding opportunities to move, to wiggle, to dance, to find different places to be. And that might mean you want to experiment with a standing desk. And that standing desk will make your life so uncomfortable, you're just leaning back and forth. This way, you're like, ugh, and you're like, ugh, and in all sorts of crazy positions. Unfortunately, that discomfort is exactly what you need. All right, so the price of changing your posture is actually pretty high. It's uncomfortable because your body's trying to figure out how to use as little energy as possible to stay in that position. When you're in a position, you're constantly changing back and forth, and you're going, oh, none of this is comfortable. It is because you haven't stayed in it long enough for it to become comfortable. And that's what we want. So next time you see a standing desk and you're like, oh, those suck, I hate those. Just know the discomfort is the point, and you get to decide if you want to deal with the discomfort to sort of assist with your posture to get a little bit more movements to be more uncomfortable so you have to keep on shifting around, or if you're like nope, none of that, I'm just gonna sit my butt down and do what I gotta do, because if I already have to work, I might as well do it comfortably. That decision is up to you, but I'm just letting you know that's how posture works. When you're stuck in a position and you're trying to do the same thing for a bunch of hours, your body's going to find the most efficient way to do that thing, and for most of us it's going to look a little like this. If you want it to not look like this, you got to put your body in positions where this isn't the best position to do that thing. For most of us, that's going to mean you got to move a lot more, or you're going to suffer a lot more. And some of that discomfort when you're moving around is because those muscles have never done that thing. They're like, ooh, I don't like this. Can we sit down now? And that is usually why standing desks, don't get used very often in corporate environments, because you can go find the more comfortable position to go focus on the thing you're supposed to be working on. Right? All right. Now that you know way too much about posture, hopefully you get a little nagging voice, my nagging voice in the back of your head to move around, do a little wiggle, do a little dance, use that hip mobility, that spine mobility, have a little bit of fun, and help use that mobility to help loosen up your muscles. Now, after all of that, I'm going to tell you about posture training. All right, it's going to sound a little hypocritical, and it might be a little bit. But if you have stronger back muscles, it can only help. It can't make it worse. So we're going to do it. All right. Most of the time, when you sit a lot like this, these muscles get long, we're going to strengthen them. But one other thing that we didn't talk about is when you're sitting all the time, your glutes and your hamstrings, they literally just don't do anything for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. That often causes a bunch of dysfunction in your lower body because they forget how to work. Most of the time, they just don't do anything and they just get squished and jammed up. So we're going to activate our glutes. We're going to work on our hamstrings a little bit too. Cool? All right, come on down to the ground. What are we doing? I can't remember my first move. Lay down on your belly button. Lay down on your hips. If you need to, go grab a little bit of cushioning, grab a little foam, grab a yoga mat. Go fast, go fast, go fast. Not too fast. Don't hurt yourself. Go fast though. All right, from here, we're going to do something called Superman's to start. We're going to contract pretty much all the muscles in our backside of the body, from our shoulders, our back, to the low back, to the glutes, to the hamstrings, and we're going to relax. All right, we're going to come up and down. If you're newer to the show, feel free to isolate the back portions into two pieces. To get the upper half up, you can push your hands down and try to contract your low back muscles to lift up your rest of your body. You don't have to lift your chin up. Oftentimes, that will put a whole bunch of pressure on your neck. You don't really need it. You're already working pretty hard, and we did our joint stuff today. But this mini cobra looking position, right? If you do a little bit of yoga, that is what we're going for. Except we're trying to do it with our muscles and not using our hands to push us up into that position. Cool? Muscles! All right. The other portion, we're going to stick our hips into the ground. We're going to contract our glutes. We're going to contract our hamstrings. We're going to try and lift everything off the ground to get that low back nice and strong, to kick the glutes into overdrive, and to get the hamstrings working. You can break it down as you want. We're going to do 10 reps in total. You can do 5 of the upper body, 5 of the lower body. You can do all of it all together, all at the same time, everywhere, all at once. And we're going to get started because I've talked too much. We're going to inhale, come up, hold for a second, exhale, come down. Try to do everything with control. Let's do it. Inhale up, exhale down. Woo, that was one. Let's make it harder. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. That's 3. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up. Bring those shoulder blades back, squeeze them together, and down. I feel like that's like 7 or 8. Let's finish this up. 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale down. Remember, we're trying to contract all the muscles in the backside of our body. And wake them up. Undo some of the sitting so that when we go right back into sitting, you'll remember that they're supposed to be doing stuff. That's like 10. All right. We're going to keep going. We're going to turn around now. And this time, we're going to focus on the glutes. I want you to tuck your heels towards your butt. And I want you to lift your hips up into the air. And I want you to get into a glute bridge. We want to flex the glutes. We want to flex them hard. We want to straighten out this line right here. And you got to poke your butt to double check that your glutes are firing. Cool? Feel the stretch here in the front of your hips, in the front of your quads. Try to get the hamstrings involved. You have to work a little harder, thoughtfully, to get the hamstrings involved. But one way to make that magically happen is by bringing your heels away from you. When your heels are away from you, your hamstrings are going to kick in automatically. All right? Let's go. 30 seconds. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25. Flex those glutes. 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, come on down. That is one of those glute bridges. Hopefully, your glutes were firing nice and hard, and maybe you got a little bit of hamstring action in there too. Take a breath, relax, and we're going to continue with some ab work, some core work. What I want you to do is flatten your low back to the ground. If you need to, tuck your knees up to your chest and have your back flatten out. Try to stab your hands underneath you. If they're not going, then you've probably flattened out your back. From here, try to maintain that while extending your legs out away from you. The further away your legs, the harder your core is going to have to work to maintain this position, and that's what we want. Bring your legs out as far as it makes sense for you. You don't have to match me, just do what is challenging for you. And your hands can participate. If you want to do a little bit of a crunch looking thing by sticking your arms in front of you, great. If you want to hold that crunch but bring your arms above you to make it suffer, that's also great. Let's do 20 seconds. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. If it's not obvious yet, relax. Lean back, chill, and take advantage of the fact that we're already on the floor. Breathe. Grunt, groan, make as many sound effects as you need to. That was our third move. We're gonna go for our fourth and final move. It's gonna be awful. Let's do it. The last move is called the wall angel. And I know I said like, oh, you can't fix posture, but having stronger muscles does make everything else in your life easier, right? Muscles don't exist just to have your posture look nice. Muscles exist so you can do stuff. When our glutes are activated and they kick in, your low back gets a little bit of support, right? When your hamstrings are working, they cramp up less and they, don't cause all sorts of problems when you're just trying to do something real simple like bend over and pick up something. When your muscles do get stronger and they do get more mobile, do work better together, it's not just about posture, it's about how they contribute. When we're sitting, all these muscles lose the ability to do stuff. When we train them, they regain the ability to do stuff. So we're countering the bad effects of bad posture. Whether we can actually truly fix your posture, you might be better off trying to dance and wiggle all day. Cool. All right. Wall angels. Wall angels look a little like this. We're going to put our flat backs to the wall, just like before when we were doing that core exercise where the back is flat. You're going to try and stab your fingers underneath you. Doesn't go anywhere because your back is against the wall. Perfect. Next. We're going to elbow our enemies in the face. Try to get it to about shoulder height. All right. Then we're going to rotate the arms up so that the back of your hand is touching the wall. From here, you're going to realize there's absolutely no way you can touch your wrist to the wall for like 99.5% of us, me included. But I want you to try your best. You're going to feel all sorts of craziness in your hands right now, like blood is shooting down your arms instead of going into your fingers. That's normal. That's okay. It's just because you're not used to this position. All right. From here, I want you to bring your elbows down, and then I want you to bring your elbows up, as high as you can. Keep on trying to bring those elbows to the wall, your wrists to the wall, and feel that crazy sensation in your shoulders, in your upper back. That is the beauty of the wall angel. It quite literally is using the back muscles exactly the opposite way that you would when you would slouch. It's contracting all of it together. And then it's even forcing some of these chest muscles to stretch out. But that's not enough. You can't walk around looking like this, right? You gotta be able to move. You gotta be graceful. You gotta be able to flap your arms like bird wings. So we gotta be able to move in that position. And that is what these crazy arm things are for. Keep going. Up and down and up and down. If these are torturous, that is great. It's probably torturous because we don't spend any time getting those muscles to do that thing. We get our muscles doing the exact opposite. So when you're trying to suddenly do the exact opposite of what you've been doing 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day for like the last 10 years, it's gonna be hard. And that's why they suck. They are evil. But that's, you know, that is what it is. All right, we're gonna do a couple more rounds of that, and then we're gonna wrap up. I gotta move this bot checking TikTok piece of puzzle right here so that it doesn't shut down the live. But otherwise, we're gonna go do that whole thing again. Those 4 exercises. Come on down to the floor. Breathe, relax for a second, sink into the floor, and then get ready to suffer. Let's contract some muscles in the backside of our bodies. We're gonna do the inhale up, exhale down. We're doing the Supermans. All right, let's begin. Inhale up, hold it, exhale down. That's one. Inhale up, exhale down. That's two. If you are deflating and flopping into the ground, try to control it a little bit. I know I just did the deflate flop, but inhale up, exhale down with control. That's three. Keep going. Inhale up, exhale down. 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 Let's do two more. Let's make them count. We're gonna hold that position for a little longer. Ready? Inhale up, hold, hold, hold. Exhale down. Ooh, nice one. Inhale up, hold, hold, hold. Exhale down. All right, roll over. Glute bridges. Push those heels into the ground. Push them away from you before you begin to work those hamstrings extra hard. Otherwise, this is a glute exercise. Let's go lift those hips. 45 seconds. 44, 43, 42. Flex those glutes. Feel the hamstrings working. 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34. Just keep on contracting. 33, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Fell down. Guys, is our glute bridge and bonus hamstrings. Catch your breath, relax for a second, and then we're gonna do the core workout. All right. If you've done some Pilates before, this might be called tabletop. That might be what you're more familiar with. I don't know what it's called in any other discipline, but we're trying to keep a hollow body position, at least for our core, which means we're just trying to flatten out our backs. And then we're extending the legs out while trying to keep the back flat against the ground. And there's a lot of core work. It starts here in like tabletop for Pilates peoples, and then as you extend your legs out, it gets harder and harder and harder. Let's go. Can we do 30 seconds? 30 seconds. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23. Keep breathing. Don't hold your breath. Shallow breaths. 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. I don't know why I'm speaking like that. 2, 1, 0. Come down. Right. That's our core. And that means it's time to move on into Wall Angels. Let's go! The bestest part of the whole entire show. Oh, I lost an earbud. The earbud was like, I'm so full of your sarcasm, I don't want to hear it anymore, and jumped out of my ear. Let's continue. Low back up against the wall. Elbow your enemies in the face. Pa-pa-pa! And rotate the arms so that your wrists are going up into the wall. Ugh. Try your best to actually try to bring your wrists to the wall. You might be able to do this on one arm, but it's highly unlikely you're going to be able to do it on both just because most of us are wildly untrained in this position, because why would you? And that is why it sucks, all right? Because we're not good at it. It's not a reason to not do it because we're not good at it. It's a good reason to do a little bit more of it because we want to get, decently okay at it. All right, let's go. Elbows down. Woo, elbows up. Ah, and elbows down. And elbows up. If you've been a regular for a while and you've been suffering through these with me for a little bit, have you noticed that you're able to move a little bit smoother in some ranges of motion? Or do these still suck and absolutely have made no improvements over the course of the last several weekends? Honestly, sometimes I don't know. All right, anyways, keep going. Down and up and down and up. How high you go up is completely up to you. For most of us, by the time you fully extend your arms, this portion doesn't actually have your elbows against the wall. So you can focus on just the elbows against the wall portion. And then if you want, you can try your best when you straighten out your arms. That's fine. But it's up to you. Because for most of us, it's going to be like, oh, easy. Hard, 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 easy. Hard, 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 hard. Hard, 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 easy. So if you want to just do the hard parts, feel free to do that. Okay, I think in the hard, 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 easy part, we did like 3 right there. So this is probably good. We're probably at 10. Right. Okay. Oh, if your shoulders are tired, this is that moment where we practice some of the mobility stuff we used earlier. Lift those shoulders, let them drop. Lift those shoulders, let them drop. Give yourself some little karate chops in your shoulders. Maybe add in a little bit of that neck stretch where we stick this arm down and we tilt the head over to the side. And do the same on the other side. Remember, be gentle. Just a little gentle pressure. Whew. And shall we do it again? Let's do it again. Whole thing. All the exercises. One more time. Get your body down to the floor and let's get ready to Superman. Hips down. Oh no. Does Benji think it's playtime? Benji, stop. I'm working. Thank you. Okay. Let's continue. We're going to inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up. Benji, you can't just be showing everybody your butt. That's inappropriate. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. I think that's like 5. Let's do 5 more. Inhale up, exhale down. And that's 6. Inhale up, exhale down. 7. Inhale up, exhale down. 8. Inhale up, exhale down. 9. Last one, everybody. We're gonna hold it for extra long and suffer together. Let's do it. Inhale up, hold, hold some more. Keep holding, hold. Exhale down. All right, rotate. Roll over. Oh man, I'm sweating. All right. Good. All right. Flat in the back. Oh, no, no, we're not. That's too early. Heels towards the glutes. Lift. Ah! Glute bridge. Flex the glutes. Push your heels away to get the hamstrings involved. Contract, 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 contract. 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32. Flex those glutes. 31, 30, 29, 28. No, don't lick my face. Ew. 30, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. It's really hard to focus on flexing my glutes, Benji. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Oh, come on down to the ground. For all the people in the chat who think I hate my dog or something, I can't pet him right now because I can't train him to know that when I'm vulnerable like this doing workouts, he can come and get attention. I have to train him to do the opposite, to be like Ken is really boring and gives me no pets when he just keeps on talking so loud to himself like this weirdo. And then he just figures out some of his own entertainment next to me. And I guess here we go. All right, what are we doing next? We just did glute bridges. We gotta do the opposite. Contract the core. Let's go. Ugh. Low back onto the floor. Contract those abs. Extend your legs out in front of you. Bring that core up. Let's go. 30 seconds. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23. And also, I don't like it when he licks my face. He has doggy breath, you know, and I gotta smell myself. I don't need to smell him too. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. But he looks very entertained by this new toy. 10, 9, 8. He's already destroyed it. It was destroyed in like 30 minutes. But I don't know. Apparently, all he needed was like a little towel with a piece of Velcro on to keep himself wildly entertained. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Oh, that is our third move. Our tabletop, hollow back, hollow body position. Hold. We're gonna do some all angels. This is gonna be the last move. So when you're ready, come on up. Oh. Let's go. Nope, not you, Benji. He's like, where are we? Where are we going? Is it time for a WA? Okay. Okay. Low back against the wall. Elbow your enemies in the face. Ba boom, ba boom. Give him a little bonus extra. In like movies and TV shows, people are like, and then it's like supposed to be. Oh, sorry, Benji, I scared you. It's supposed to be like a crazy OP move to just add some extra damage. In real life, I'm like this. Yeah, all right, sure. This definitely does something. All right, let's do it. Enough chit chat. Enough entertainment. Come on up and down and up and down and up and down. Try to bring those shoulder blades back together. Bring your elbows to the wall. Reach up and down and up and down and up and down. Keep your low back against the wall. Don't let it start arching like this while you go up and down because that is making it easier than it's supposed to be. Up and down and up and down and up and down. And I don't know why I'm making these crazy noises. Huh? Is it entertaining? Because if it's entertaining, I'll keep going. But if otherwise you think I'm just being too dramatic, then well, I'm gonna keep doing it anyway. Up and down and up and down. All right. I was preoccupied with your opinions, so I forgot to keep count. But I'm pretty sure we're probably done. All right. That is our workout. We did a whole bunch of
joint warm up, nice and gentle, giving you some tools so that you can move a little bit smoother through the range of motion your body should be capable of. If you're still feeling some tension, because we just put your body through a whole bunch of tension, get back into some wiggles. Circles for your wrists, circles for your hips, circles for your knees, circles for your ankles, circles for your arms, all sorts of circles to get your joints going through the full range of motion. And we did a little bit for the spine, right? That was a little bit more muscle than just joints. And that is also good because most of us, we got very, 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 very stiff low backs. We address some of that stiff low back stuff by getting that movement in, right? Trying to get you to wiggle through your hips, through your low back, through your side bends. And we also are trying to address it by activating our glutes and our hamstrings. A lot of the time, the low back muscles work really, really, really hard to keep us stable, and our glutes are not kicking in to help them out. Glutes are the biggest muscles in your body, and they're designed to be mighty powerful, but if they're not kicking in, the other parts of your body have to compensate. That is often why the low back can be a little uncomfortable because your glutes are not helping out. We did some glute bridges to help try and figure that out. We did some Supermans to help coordinate so that the low back and the glutes fire together. What else did we cover? We talked about how posture is because your body is super smart at being lazy and is just helping you do the laziest possible way of getting into the position that you hang out in all the time. That's why it's so hard to beat bad posture because you're trying to beat that position with what do we do this for? Like 17 minutes of this, but only like 3 rounds, right? It's hard. It's very, very hard. So the best thing you can do to help change your posture is to keep moving, to make sure you're not stuck in the same position for hours and hours and hours every day, so that you're training a little bit of everything all day long, and you get a little bit more mobile, you get a little bit more smooth, you get a little floppy. You look like a crazy octopus jellyfish thing. Go, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just entertaining children. All right. That's our show. I hope you're feeling a little looser. I hope you're feeling a little bit more mobile. I hope you're taking some of these movement ideas and applying them into your real life outside of the live. I hope you take a couple minutes when coffee is coming out the machine, when your microwave is heating up lunch, to do a little bit of movement. All right? Do a little hip shake. Do a little Shakira. Who else does cool moves I can think of that I can replicate right now? I can't think of anything. My brain has frozen. So I guess we're gonna just have to call it that. Whew. If you don't know, I do another live. It's a little bit more serious. It is an hour ish of live side splits and hip mobility work. We do that at 9 p.m. every single day, Monday through Sunday. That means that show starts in 10 hours and 40 minutes. This dog is 10 years. He's like 9.5. I think he's almost 10 years old. Right, Benji? But he behaves like a puppy. He's like a ginormous. Oh, I mean, not ginormous. He's a small dog, but he's an old puppy. Ah, okay. Where else we go? I told you about the show. I told you about getting a little bit of movement, a little bit of wiggling throughout your day to help loosen up those muscles. Staying full of movement is, maybe not energy efficient, but realistically, we need to burn some extra energy, most of us anyway, right? So just do some wiggling, do some dancing, and keep those muscles working so that you don't get all stiff. And I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I need to cover? I'm trying to keep Benji from like jumping up on my lap when I'm seated, so I'm like holding him down with my hand, and he's doing good. He's doing good. Benji, do you want to say hi to the audience? They like you. They like you. Oh, he's scared. He's like, "What are you doing?" And he's frozen. He's like, Why are you holding me?" It's because you're trying to make wonderful. You're making wonderful eye contact with the camera, by the way. This is amazing. I don't think you know what cameras are, but maybe you can see the picture of me over there. I don't know if you recognize the picture of you over there because I'm pretty sure you don't like mirrors. But hey, that works. That works. Hello, people. Now he thinks I'm a weirdo. All right. Well, Benji, wave goodbye. Okay, you can go back now. He's gonna be like, "Wait, are we playing? I thought we were playing. What are you doing?" All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in, practicing a little bit of consistency, working on some mobility. This is the gentler of the two lives, and I mean, maybe the last 20 minutes weren't so gentle. Maybe you're quite tired, quite beat up. Your shoulders are telling you, hey, I don't like this. But hopefully, I've over-explained enough so that you know why we do those things to counter all the things that we actually do in normal life, and hopefully build some strength where we need it. I think I'm out of stuff to tell you about. Oh, I make some other content. Most of it is about trying to make fitness fun, trying to combine, movement with cool things that maybe you want to do, maybe you want to try, and inspire you to have some fun with it, to inspire you to take a little bit of time to do a little bit of motion and make those 2 minutes I was talking about earlier, while you're waiting for coffee, waiting for the microwave, a little bit more body friendly. All right. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, some inspiration while you doom scroll to get a little bit of movement, a little tiny reminder. And actually, I don't think I do anything for the shoulders, so I don't know why I shimmy so much, but a little bit of leg exercise, whether that's calf raises, whether that's petting the dog and doing calf raises, whether that's doing a couple of squats, some Cossack switches, some hip circles like we were doing in our live, or just, you know, some Shakira dancing. It's all good. Loosen up those muscles, feel better, feel smoother, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to scare your dog. He was like, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. I hope you're feeling real good so you can crush whatever cool thing you got going on for the rest of the day, especially if it's something a little bit more physical. Hopefully, this is a crazy warm up for you, and now you're all jazzed to crush whatever it is you're about to do. All right? Take advantage of the weekend, have a little bit of fun, and if you're very free, feel free to come back and visit me at 9 p.m. Eastern for some side splits and hip mobility. Otherwise, if you like this so much that you want to do it again tomorrow, we got another live tomorrow starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. That means an hour and 23 minutes ago before right now, right? Hour 23 minutes ago, except tomorrow. That time, come back for some more. It is. Show will be relatively the same. I'll emphasize different things probably and make jokes about slightly different things, but mostly the same thing. And if that helps you get through these tedious little joint movements, because we got so many joints in the dang body, come back. We got a question. Why are you not getting wet from training? Am I not sweating from training? I am a relatively light sweater, but most of our movements are not that intense for me. So it's okay, right? Like the gentle joint mobility stuff, that's not something I would break much of a sweat from because we're not trying actively to contract all of our muscles and go, yes, bicep curl, all the way around. It's mostly about the joints. So the first 40 minutes of light warm up was just slowly getting some blood flow, gentle, 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 gentle warm up. I am sweating a little bit. You can't tell because my shirt is dark. But the more intense stuff happened towards the final 20 minutes, and I usually sweat more after the show ends than during the show because it's like the cool down part that I'm starting to sweat. So I'm starting to sweat right now. If you can't see the shine off my upper lip, that's what's happening. And I'm gonna look at the chat. I was like, what do I usually do after the show? I don't know why I'm having such a brain fart, but I'm gonna look at the chat. Aesthetic Universe 21T says, remember me? Has it been a while since you've been on? Were you here last weekend? Because it sounds familiar, but I can't remember. Aesthetic Universe. Have I read your username aloud? I feel like I have, but I don't think it was this week. I think it was a while back. But welcome back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm gonna take a quick look at the chat over on YouTube. Oh, whoa, there's a lot. And then we'll pop on over to TikTok and see how things are going. Good morning. Somebody loves turkey. And somebody else jumped in and said Turkey. We got multiple.
The person who had asked about doing calisthenics preteen,
Oh, who did?
the aesthetic.
Oh, Aesthetic Universe. You were the preteen. Got it. Amazing.
To train our muscles.
Yeah. I remember. That makes a lot more sense. So it was last weekend. So it was a week ago. Okay. Welcome back. Have you had some training? Have you been consistent? Have you put some of my advice to work? Because that would be awesome. And if you got any more questions, follow up with I'm here. And clearly, I love talking. So hit me. Plato says, "Oh, hi there." Oh, I think that's for the dog. All right. Plato says, "Last one for real." Yes, yes. I think when I promised it was the last one, it was. Plato says, "Oh my God, keep counting." It's definitely zero. That's hilarious. Plato says you should stop the exercise and play with them, and then followed up with, "Please, oh my God, keep counting." It's definitely zero. So I think that was just a desperate cry for help, and not necessarily that they felt a particularly strong way about me playing with the dog. All right. Plato says, "After you're done." No, not again. Oh, it's hilarious. Hey Plato, I hope you enjoyed the rest of the workout. Thank you for staying with it despite the clear frustration with my counting. Plato says, "Hi dog." Wait, who said that was the final movement? Maybe the final movement in the series because we did that 4 moves 3 times. But I always intended for it to be 3 rounds. I think I've done it once in 2 rounds, but most of the time it's 3 rounds. Last weekend was 3 rounds. It's not me cheating, right? It's not me making your life worse. I promise. I didn't see the chat, so yes, now. Queen R responds to Nina. What's a good exercise for hip replacement? Queen R says, I check the chat at the end. Okay. I honestly have no idea. I don't have that much experience with hip replacements. I don't have that much experience with people who have had hip replacements. So I don't think I can very reliably give you good information. I can give you some generalities. If you train the muscles around your hip, if they cut through anything in order to replace your hip, if you train those muscles in particular, that is probably going to be good for you because having stronger muscles tends to be valuable. Specifically for your hip replacement, I got no idea. I'm pausing because I'm trying to think if there's something specific I want to add, and I'm going to be thoughtfully reserved on this one and say no, I'm good. All right, I'm gonna keep scrolling. Queen R asks, does it matter if we do arm circles standing versus sitting? It does not matter that much, but you might learn different things when you're standing versus when you're sitting. When you're sitting and your hips are more or less locked in that position, when you shift around, you'll notice it more. When you're standing, because there's a lot more joints involved, if you start rotating and twisting a little bit when you're trying to get your arms around, you might not notice it as easily. And what's important about noticing what your body is doing when you're doing these arm circles is sometimes you might notice if I, rest my whole entire body against the wall and I try to do arm circles, this part right here, my shoulder sends the arm out this way and not all the way back there, right? So maybe there's a little bit of extra range of motion I can unlock over here in this part of my range of motion. But if I'm standing and I'm just going wee, 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 it looks like my arms are doing circles just fine because my chest is opening up and rotating. And when you're seated, you feel the rotation a little bit more because it's not spread across multiple joints. So if you want to identify weak points in your arm circles or weak points in some of your circly motions, the more you can isolate the movement, the easier it will be for you to tell which areas need a little bit more work. I hope that sentence made sense. What else we got? I think that's everything over on YouTube chat. I'm gonna scroll down. Plato says it was a cry for help. Thanks. It was a light, fun workout. Good, good. I'm glad you're having fun. I'm glad we got jokes, and it was a light workout. Okay. Aesthetic Universe says yes. Last Sunday at night when you talked about pull-ups. Amazing. Great. Welcome back. Let's see. Time to scroll on to TikTok. We're wrapping up. So if you need to go jump into something else, it has been an hour and 30 minutes since we began. But if you have a question that you sent real early in the chat, please send it again and I'll probably get to it a little bit faster that way. But I'm going to scroll up. I'm going to scroll up. Tereth send some doggos. Doggos like this one right here. Benji, you want to come up? You want to sit in my lap? Ah. Benji's scared. He's like, what is going on? Your legs are sweaty. We got a question about how old Benji is. No, don't like that face. I'm trying to read the chat. That was a bad idea. Tereth says, thank you, Ken. You're welcome. Oh, he's jumping off. He has no interest in being up here.
What's your doing?
Shomara, Roots of Emotion says that was awesome. Thank you, Lalita. Hey, welcome back, Lalita. Says thank you. Daniel Torres says the baby playing, love it. Amazing. Daniel says watching because of your dog. Oh, I see. I see. The dog playing is what kept you. Alex says now this is peak content. Amazing. I'm glad you love the cuteness. Thank you. Thank you, dog. Look at what you've done. You've kept so many people on the live because of your lovableness. Buddha says, doggy working out too. Yes, he's shaking his head so hard, flopping the green. Where's the green thing? Oh, it's right here. I got it. I got it. He's gonna be really upset that I have it and wants to play now. You want it? You want? What is? Look at this. It's been like 1 day. This happened in the first half hour, but it's been 1 day since he unlocked this toy, and now it looks like this. Here, you can have it back. He doesn't want it. He just flicked it off his head. He's over it today. All right. What else we got? What else we got? What else we got? Buddha says, we're so close to not cursing today. Wall angels. Yes, indeed. Dumb wall angels. Buddha says, oh, I thought he was going to forget about the wall angels. No, 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 no. I very specifically talk about contracting the shoulders, stretching out the chest because of the wall angels. Just to prep your brain for the suffering that's to come. Isa says, I want to try. Oh, good. Good, 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 good. I hope you did try, and I hope you've been following along. Obviously, there's a Bygas guy. Oh, hold on. There might be a little bit more. Let me scroll up in the chat and see what we got here. Oh, nope. Let's go back. Let's go back. Mama, see, this is Bygas sciatica from standing on my feet for 30 plus years. Cashier on your feet, low back problem. Yes. So, it's the same thing as when you sit for too long, where when you sit for too long, your body rests in whatever position is comfortable to use as little energy as possible, right? Oftentimes, when you stay stuck in any position for a long time, even if it is standing, your body is looking for ways to rest and for ways to chill. Sometimes that will be something really obvious, like you're going to lean against something and your elbows are resting against a counter. And now you're holding this position for way too long, right? So when I say stand, I mean find an uncomfortable position that you keep on moving through to not get stuck in any one position for a very long time. So is it the best solution? No, but clearly because you have sciatica from standing for 30 plus years. But the alternative of sitting the whole entire time, getting locked in one position, is also not good for you. So is modern life just bad for you in general? Probably. It's not great. How you deal with that, how you can only deal with that is try to move as much as you can and try to make sure you're conscious-ish of what range of motion your body should be capable of, hanging out in several of them a bunch of times a day, trying to find ways to make sure that your back doesn't start looking for the easiest way to be wherever you got to be. And I'm sorry to hear about your sciatica. All right. Oh, my hip just cracked because I started leaning forward. What else we got? What else we got? What else we got? Shomara says, been here since spine rotations. I feel like a loose noodle. Lol. Thank you. Amazing. Good. That is the goal. Open up the spine, be a loose noodle, flop around, relax. And the reason, part of the reason why that's really useful is once you sort of start to understand different parts of your body and how to relax them, if you get something funky that happened. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit your head, bud. If you got something funny going on with your shoulder one day, maybe a little gentle motion through that range of motion, maybe this stretch will give you a little bit of relief. You can start tackling some of the problems with movement as the main tool. Sometimes that will not help you at all, but a lot of the time it will. Matter Wet says stretch before or after resistance training. I think the most recent, the newest science out says that stretching a bunch, like passive stretching a bunch before exercise doesn't necessarily do that much for you. Some dynamic movement to help warm up the muscles does a lot for you. I think the joint warm up is probably a little closer to dynamic movement than it is stretches. So I think this you can probably do before resistance training and it won't negatively impact you, especially if you're doing something that requires ankle or wrist mobility. If you do calisthenics and you're doing a lot of stuff on your wrists, including push-ups or handstands or planches, especially planches because it puts your wrist in that crazy forward lean. If you're doing a bunch of those types of things, then the wrists need extra warm up, right? I like to think most of the show, the joint stuff, as a joint warm up and not necessarily stretches. Some of the spine stuff might be a little bit closer to stretches, but even those I don't really consider stretches because you're feeling that stretch for a second and then you're contracting, pulling that muscle back into standing and coming back. The spine stuff where we do the forward and back, sorry, the cat cow, where we go like this and then we go like this. That is actively pulling yourself into that motion. You're using a little bit of help by pushing into the ground, but I generally consider that all really solid warm up material. You don't have to do the whole thing, right? We did a lot for the whole body, and I talk a lot and I explain a lot, right? So, like, if you were actively trying to do these throughout your day, you probably don't need more than once every other day to do some of this. And you can start combining things, right? Like you don't have to do them one at a time the way we do. We did this thoracic rotation. If you add in your neck at the same time, it is totally doable. You don't have to go right away. Get really good at doing the movement isolated first, and then you can probably start combining a couple of things and doing them at the same time. Maybe you can focus on the ankle circles and the wrist circles at the same time. Maybe you can do the elbow circles and finish off your ankle circles as you get more comfortable with each of the movements. So we took a lot of time to cover all of our bases to introduce the movement to you. But when you start doing them on your own, when you feel like, oh yeah, Ken showed me these great gentle movements to help me make sure my joints are fully taken care of. I mean, taken care of in the move through where you're going to be, or you're going to be in a good spot for warming up your body. I don't think of it as stretching because most of the time stretching is, or passive stretching, very specific form of stretching, is when you just sit and hang out in a position for a prolonged period of time, hoping something magic will happen. That isn't necessarily that useful. But for the hamstring, dynamic stretching would maybe look a little bit like this. Bring the leg back and forth, gently opening up the range of motion until you're able to do a little bit more with it. That is still in the broader category of stretching, but the dynamic stretching in general is going to be much more beneficial for your resistance training. So, yes, stretch before if it is dynamic, if you're moving and loosening up muscles, and then I guess you can do normal stretching after because you're not going to need the ability to contract on demand as much. Cool? All right, I'm gonna scroll down, or maybe I'm scrolling up. I'm thinking I'm still scrolling up. Scroll, 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 scroll. Travel Doxy says, "Do you do live?" Wait, what? That would be so cool for the followers to see your process. Oh wait, what's going on? What does it say? PTEO? Where? Like some. Oh, PTEO says, "Can you support my art account? I draw my followers from their OCs. Original content? I might start animating too. Oh, that's super cool. I was just talking about somebody who does like really sick animation as part of their content, and then AI has people like trying to replicate it with low effort, and I feel a little bad because it's clear that that person spends like dozens, if not hundreds of hours putting together like a 20-30 second reel of animations that she's interacting with. She's interacting with like an anime version of herself that she draws, and if you look at her account history, it's like her animating like short films almost for the last like dozen years and slowly posting stuff, and now like her signature content is like telling a life lesson that she's learned but interacting with herself in like a dramatic cartoon version of herself that she's animating alongside like her real world, and it's so cool. And um AI can't replicate that necessarily. Most of the people have been using like an AI cloning tool to just do the same thing your real life body is doing on the side, but you're probably able to take that exact idea, do a little bit more work, do some side-by-side interaction, edit the AI component into your main video to do the interactions too. You just have to act both parts out. And I was like, oh man, that's disappointing. It's awesome, but it's disappointing. Anyways, that's enough rambling about AI art. Your content is probably awesome. I'm gonna go check it out. PTEO, poke the eye so T. Done. Pamela says, how often do you do these exercises? It depends on how much you need it. If you're starting to feel your joints creak and get a little uncomfortable, then I think you should do more. Your body gets better at what it does. A lot of, right? Just like it gets better at slouching because you spend a lot of time here. So if you spend a little bit more time doing this, maybe daily, you don't have to do that many crazy reps daily, right? If you're doing 10 at a quick pace because you've learned how to do this and you've spent a little bit of time getting better at it, you only need to do it a couple of times before you're like, okay, cool, these are easy. They'll happen fast. And then you don't have to do all of them at the same time either, right? These are very manageable while you're waiting for coffee to come out of the machine. These toe things are real manageable when you're brushing your teeth, right? Like a lot of these movements, if you feel like they're really helping you or they're addressing something that's a little bit funky, a little bit weird, you can start integrating them into wherever it makes sense. If you have, you know, typical computer worker issues with your forearms, with your wrists, and you got like a little bit of carpal tunnel or something, there are very specific exercises that the doctor or physical therapist might recommend. What are good times to do those physical therapy exercises? I don't know. But if you're not doing them, maybe when you're brushing with one hand, you can be doing the movements with the other hand. Same idea, right? You're just trying to give your muscles, give them a little bit of motion, work your joints across their range of motion, and it doesn't have to be intense. It doesn't have to be exhausting. It doesn't have to feel crazy because that's not the point. The point is to make the joints move. So do as many as you like. Because, you know, when you're walking, how many times does your knee bend? You take 10,000 steps, that's 10,000 reps of your knee bend. So doing 30 through the full range of motion might be enough to help just a little bit because you don't cover that whole range of motion in your normal walking. But in the grand scheme of things, is it going to make you very tired? Probably not, because your joints are designed to do that. It'll be a little bit of a different story when you're doing it with your arms, because how often do you lift your arms above your head? Almost never, right? So that might be really, 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 really tiring. Depends on the joint that you're working on. But in general, if you did these every other day, just a couple of gentle movements to help you feel a little bit smoother, that would probably be really good for you. You don't have to treat it like this is absolutely how I should do things. I would prefer if you saw it as, oh wow, I have a much better day after I do some joint warm up, so that you associate doing these with something positive rather than feeling like this is a burden on your joints or burden on your time. When you feel, and it might not be true. If you don't feel like this does anything for you, feel free to skip them and then revisit at some later time. Be like, oh wait, maybe Ken had a thing going when he was talking about doing some rotations for the joints. And maybe one day he'll be like, oh wait, there's a very clear difference. Then you should keep going, right? I hope that answers your question. All right, without giving you like a specific, this is how it has to be kind of answer. We got a comment over here from Halama Crutchfield too, who says, this is nice. I feel this would be a good strategy to get myself moving. Absolutely. That is the goal. The goal is always to introduce some gentle movement, help you change up what you're already doing, find motivation to add it in because it feels good, to make the bar to entry, to lower the bar to entry so that you got something that feels good, something that helps you move a little smoother, something noticeable that's not like super intense, And if you want to take that further and you want to get really strong now because your body is feeling better when you do the movements, fine, that's great. That's up to you. But we're just covering some of the easier, gentler stuff so that you can get excited about moving better, moving smoother, and go, oh, I understand why exercise is awesome and this is really fun. That I don't know why I'm singing like kindergarten songs. And exercise is really fun. All right. Maria says it's excellent. And the exercises, uh, hello from Mexico. And I don't know what good GTO, Noria, Alta, gracias. Big thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for commenting. I appreciate it. Sylvia says, good morning. Do you recommend any exercises for IT band? I literally was reading up about IT band earlier this week. It might have been yesterday. I had a long day yesterday, but uh, the IT band oftentimes has issues because it's irritated, right? The IT band runs down the hip and down the leg. And you typically feel it here in the side, the outside upper half of your knee, because when it's irritated and you do this, it rubs against your joint area. And that rubbing irritates it more and more and more and more and more. There's a couple of things that you might want to check out in terms of your body's alignment. Sometimes you get IT band injuries because you suddenly started training a lot and it's just irritating. But oftentimes it happens because you're putting extra strain on the IT band. There's a couple of ways that might happen. One of them is when your foot does this. I'm exaggerating, right? I'm showing you like a crazy, crazy version of this. You're probably not having that happen to you. But if you run a lot like this, and your ankle is in this position, it pulls on the side of your leg and it puts extra pressure here on this part right here where it's rubbing. That can cause that irritation. In general, if you have some IT band issues, it might make sense to rest a little bit to let the inflammation go down because that irritation is causing inflammation, is causing that discomfort, it's causing that pain. If you want to focus on something, it might be double checking your movement and your alignment. Sometimes, if your leg is rotating inwards, like this, I'm also exaggerating, right? If you're this bone, sorry, I'm gonna try and keep the thighs in the same spot. If your leg is doing a little bit of this, in and out, and this bone is rotating a little bit, that can also put pressure on your knee. So there is potentially a lot of opportunity for just the alignment of your bones, knee down, to be causing that irritation here in the IT band. I don't have any more expertise than that. So I don't think I can recommend you good exercises specifically for the IT band because my gut reaction is initially everything you do will irritate you. But over time, I think focusing on trying to smoothen out that line in the ankle and the below the knee, the shin bone, might be very, very, very helpful for you. Uh, yeah, that's all I got on the topic of IT band. Sean asks, what about the shins? The shin bones is this thing right here, right? We did the knee joint and we did the ankle joint, so we don't necessarily do anything for the shins. But technically, this bone over here can also rotate a little bit in between your knee and ankle joint. We literally just talked about it when answering the question about IT band tightness. I don't think you have to go out of your way to go practice that one because the reality is most of us, we don't really want our shins to be rotating for funsies. That's not that useful. We need our knees and our ankles to do well. We don't need our shins to be finding new ways to move and having extra mobility. Mobility is good and is bad. All right. Not all mobility is bad. You might know of people who are like double jointed, or you might know of people who are hypermobile. You might know of people who can bend their arm back so that's like, this angle looks like that, right? Instead of like this, it goes the other direction. That's not good because your joints aren't very strong in those positions and you're much more liable to get hurt, right? If you hyperextend and your wrist goes further down, your bones aren't stacking on top of each other when you're applying force. Your bones are off axis and it's going to be really hard on your muscles. It's going to be very hard on your ligaments. It's very hard on your tendons. So being hypermobile is not great. Being too stiff is bad because it keeps you from being able to move. And if you can't move, then you're going to keep on losing mobility because every time you try to move in that angle, it's uncomfortable, it hurts, it's whatever. Your muscles are going to keep on getting weaker and weaker and weaker until you can't do anything remotely close to that thing. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we have to do a little bit of movement and mobility work to make sure that the things that are supposed to move do move. But when you get way beyond normal ranges of mobility, and you start to get into the world of contortionism, when you can just drop into a crazy backbend at whim, you need to have strong muscles to control that mobility, right? Like otherwise, you can just go and then flop into a little puddle of you on the floor. You need strength in order to control the mobility. So there's there's a pro and a con to mobility. Having normal levels of mobility is good. Having too much mobility probably puts you, for the average person, in the world of not having enough stability, not having enough control, and you're going to be prone to getting injured because your knees or your hips or whatever are going way far beyond where they're supposed to be when you're doing it, right? So mobility comes with the need to stabilize, comes with the need to build up your muscles so that they can do the motions that you're supposed to be able to do. When you lose too much mobility and you can't lift your leg up to the side, that's bad because you need to be able to do some of those things in order to, not fall over, to be able to catch yourself, to be able to push off the ground. But when you can do crazy things, that much mobility means every time you do something, you need to have your muscles working overtime to keep you from going into a crazy position, right? If you can accidentally drop into a side split. If you overstep, you just go, oh, whoa, I'm slipping, and then you slip all the way into a side split. Now you have to have enough muscle control to make sure you never fall into a side split because it's not actually that useful in normal life, right? Like that's kind of a more clear example, and it's not as exaggerated as your spine turning into a crazy arch onto the floor, but hopefully that kind of makes sense. Hypermobility, not that useful for you. Makes you more likely to get injured. Too little mobility, also highly likely for you to get injured because you can't get into a position where you're not completely stuck all the time, right? And then if you get into a position where your body is not happy with, you're probably injured, right? So you got to be somewhere in the middle. Where that middle is depends on how much exercise you actually want to do, how much training you want to do, how much strength you want to maintain. For most people, it's probably if you have the time for it, being able to do cool stuff is really fun and that's rewarding in of itself, and you're probably going to be better for it because most of us are not training to do circus level acrobatics and stretchiness, contortionism. Most of us are just trying to regain control of what our hips are supposed to be able to do. And that's good. That's very, very, very good. But the shins, this little tiny micro movement here between the two bones that make up your knee to your ankle, that hypothetically, we don't want to get too loose and too relaxed because we don't want to be consciously thinking about how to use that thing. If something has happened and you're like, oh no, my shin alignment is totally out of whack and I need to work on this because it's impacting my ankles, it's impacting my knees. Yes, that's a great time to work on it and try to adjust how your bones are positioned. But if you're otherwise fine and not doing crazy things to your ankles and your knees because your shin bone is a little funky in a weird spot, then try not to worry about it because having that get more mobile just means you got to figure out how to control it. And when you got to control it, that's not so fun. I have a real life example of this. I was like, how do I tell this story in a meaningful way? When you are a sprinter versus when you are a long distance runner. When you are a sprinter and your job is to put explosive force into the ground to push yourself forward, the stiffer your muscles, the stiffer your tendons, the more power you can smash into the ground and propel yourself forward. That's what you want when you're trying to sprint. You're trying to go as fast as humanly possible. If you're too flexible when you're sprinting, your foot comes all the way down, you're fully relaxed, and then you're pushing off the ground. You have to contract all of your muscles and go, and then claw forward using your muscle strength. Your muscles are not the only things in your body that help you move. Your tendons, especially in sprinting, are a massive contributor to the movement, right? So when you have stiff legs and you're using the elasticity of your tendons to power through explosive movement, that is good because that's how you generate the maximum amount of power. For most of us, as normal people, you don't need to be a top level, top 0.1% sprinter. And it's more important for you to worry about your ankles being able to do stuff and also be able to run okay, right? You don't need to worry about that sort of maximal tension. But what I'm trying to say is when you're an elite athlete, you will not train like a normal person trying to optimize for normal life because you have very sport specific demands. If you train like a sprinter all the time and you had sprinter legs, you probably would have really tough, tight ankles that do one thing very well and not all the other things that you need to do. And that in normal people is actually not that helpful, right? Next time you go out and watch somebody run around and you look at the like really fast runners who are going pop, 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 and flying across the road, and then you look at maybe somebody who's got like a dance background and is running, you might be able to see the difference now that I've called it out. A dancer might have a little bit more flexibility. They might be a little bit more jumpy, a little bit more flappy, a little bit more like me doing this thing instead of like streamlined gazelle thing where each step is popping forward. Maybe there's a little bit more of a hop. There's maybe a little bit more of a skip. There's maybe a little bit more of like a bounce to it because a dancer person, this is just my, fill in for anybody with a little bit more flexibility, might be able to absorb a little bit more impact, be a little bit more flexible, be a little less tense, and that is going to change how your body moves. For most people, having some dance qualities is going to be good. And for some people, if you got very specific needs, building more like a sprinter, having really tense limbs, tense tendons, is going to be useful. But for the average person, you probably want to be somewhere in the middle because movement and having working joints is important. I hope that long ramble made sense. And I'm gonna keep scrolling. Actually, there's 26 new messages over on TikTok, so I'm gonna scroll all the way down and see what else we got that has come in response to all of my rambling. Clee says, hello, it's been a while. Hey, Clee, welcome back. Liz says, yes, thank you. Amazing. Debbie says, I've watched your live for 100 minutes. Great. Amanda says, thank you for showing up for all of us. You're very welcome. Why you're not getting wet. Okay, cool. And JU says, are you Canadian, Ken? No, I'm American. I don't know if that puts you on the I don't like American side because you're Canadian, or if that puts you on the Ken, you have a weird accent side. Clea says, too busy and attempting to correct long-standing anterior pelvic tilt. Too busy and attempting to correct long-standing anterior pelvic tilt. I don't have a solution for anterior pelvic tilt. I used to have more of it, and I still have a bunch of it. And I am very conscious of it now for a bunch of reasons. One of the things that I like to do is I like to travel very minimally. All right. I travel with basically just one carry-on size backpack. Actually, these days it's personal item sized backpack. It's about 25, 26-ish liters. and it's like 18 by 14 by 10 or whatever that thing is. Maybe it's like something like that. Anyways, so I oftentimes when I travel, I carry a backpack with me. And one of the things I know I definitely do when I'm tired of carrying the backpack is I stick my butt out like this to make a little shelf right here to let the backpack rest on my butt. This is not great for your low back. This is not great for anything other than the fact that my shoulders get a little bit of relief because the backpack is resting on the top of my butt like this. All right. So I'm conscious of it. And I'm also conscious of accidentally doing this thing. Sometimes I'm exaggerating a little bit right now, but sometimes you might notice there are people who sort of lean back just a little bit and stick their bellies out and rest in a position that looks like this, or like will drink a beer or like talk in this position. And that is also not so great for your back. There's also a bunch of tilt. I don't have a tried and tested and true method of tackling pelvic tilt. But one of the things that you can try is to identify some of those positions that you get into that forces you to be in that tilt, or not forces you, but makes you want to tilt in any particular way, and see if you can tackle it by going, okay, when I do this thing, when I need to be doing this thing, this is my new way of doing it. That might make it so you spend less time in some of those positions. And that might make it easier to correct because you're not spending time in that position. Then all the other exercises that you do enhance the tone and the strength and the structure of the muscles that you're training. Maybe that will help you get back into a tilt that you actually want, right? The important thing is now that you recognize tilt and you know the difference and you can do interior pelvic tilt and posterior pelvic tilt with some control at will, at least you can go, oh, not good, boom, and try your best to adjust and fix it. Sometimes the warning signs will, just let you know because your low back is aching and you'll be like, okay, great, tilt my pelvis, take the support off a little bit. Otherwise, is there anything else I gotta say? Pay attention to your body because now that you know about anterior and posterior pelvic tilt, your likelihood of being able to do a good job taking care of yourself goes way up, right? A lot of people have no idea what that is and why their back hurts, and that is a huge first step. Once you've practiced, I'm literally doing the motion right now, right? Once you practice the motion a little bit, you'll be like, oh, this is what happens when I do it sitting. This is what happens when I do it standing, when I'm resting, when I'm waiting in line. This is what happens when I do da 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 da. And then when you're more conscious of the body, it'll be easier to stop doing some of the things and maybe find a replacement for it. Actively do try to find a replacement for it because if you just go, no, I can't do that, it feels restrictive, right? When you go, hey, this is the new movement that I'm working on in position to that, substituting for that, it might feel a little bit more fun and, less psychologically, no, you're not supposed to do that. And then more like, oh, hey, this is the cool new thing that I'm doing today. All right. So if that feels like it might be a positive mental shift, then use that too. Cool. Idney asks, can I rewatch the session somewhere? Yes, I have all of these lives recorded over on YouTube. The username is the same as on TikTok. It's splits on the side. So all in one word, but splits plural on the side. And all the lives are recorded. The angle is going to be slightly different because I have two phones running two mobile lives at the same time. This one over here is TikTok. This one over here is YouTube. And so the angle will be slightly different. But it'll be uploaded in a couple hours. This one will be uploaded in a couple hours. It's a little long, so maybe it'll take a little bit more than a couple hours. But the regular lives from like yesterday should already be up there because it's automatically posted when I turn off my YouTube live. Rose73 asks, what about stretches for neck pain? Oh, Oh, okay. Annie says their name is India, just backwards. Or I don't know if you're telling me the spelling is that, or if you're telling me to call you that in the future, because I could do either. All right, neck pain. Let's talk about it. Your neck is designed to do a whole bunch of different things. Some neck pain is just a whole bunch of tension that you've been holding onto for a long time. So sometimes it's just relaxing some of these muscles or stretching out some of these muscles that might help. Let's cover those because those are the ones that I can talk about a little bit more comfortably because that's the ones I know, right? If you are standing up nice and straight, right? Nice posture, nice and tall. We got some things to stretch out the left and the right side of the neck and sort of like this general left-ish side. If you take your hand, you grab the bottom of your chair, and then you lean away from that arm. Then you let your neck tilt that way. Then you grab your neck a little bit and you give it a light pull. We're not doing this, right? We're doing just looking forward, tilting the head, giving a light pull. You should feel stretched down the side of your neck into your shoulders and maybe even through the delt muscle. This is this muscle, the big wide shoulder muscle. And that should be nice. You can do the other side. And that, oh, should be nice. If you're not sitting in a chair and you're like, can I do these standing? Because sometimes I am in a situation where I'm not seated. That's 100% doable. You can imagine that you're going and grabbing like a handrail or something. Really push that shoulder down, and you can still pretty much do the exact same stretch. You should experiment with it and see how that feels, but you can pretty much do the same stretch from standing. It's a little easier to do it when you're just, grabbing a chair and leaning over. You just have to, secure your hands on the chair, but it should work. That is directly to the left and that is directly to the right. But what if you have something that's tight here, or what if you have something that's tight here, sort of like off to the back a little bit and not so front or not so directly to the side? If you tilt your chin up just a little bit, and then you tilt the head like so, you'll feel it a little bit more here in the front. And the more you do it, the more across the front you'll feel it. It's the same for the back. If you tuck the chin and then you pull a little bit to the side, you're going to feel it a little bit more down through here and down through the side. How far you tilt your neck is going to change where you're going to feel it. So experiment a little bit with that and see if you're feeling it somewhere. If you can tuck your chin and then pull a little bit, if you'll feel it a little bit more on that side of the body. All right, that is some neck stretches. Try not to go hoo and do reps, right? You're not going 1, 2, 3. That's a little crazy. Don't do that. But some passive tension, just hanging out, chilling, letting your muscles stretch out, that might help relieve some of the tension in your neck. What do? We did sideways, we did sort of front, sort of back. You can go directly front and back, right? Instead of grabbing and leaning, you can lift your chin up. You can feel a huge stretch in the front of your neck. Try to be gentle, because for some of us, you'll jam up your neck and it'll be really uncomfortable when you do this. But otherwise, if you're feeling okay with it, you can get a nice stretch here through the front. And the same for the back of the neck. A lot of the time, we're probably having a lot of stress here in these muscles that hold up the head. All right. I've been talking about posture a lot today, and a lot of our posture ends up looking like this, right? When that happens for a long time, these muscles get stuck at this length for a long time, and then when you try doing other stuff with it, they tend to be unhappy. Some of that is just normal stiffness. If you want to prevent muscle stiffness, what you can do is have a little bit more movement. All right. So if you're feeling some of that tension across the back or the front or the sides of your neck, something that you can do is just slowly do some gentle joint focused movement and introduce a little bit of it throughout your day. Every half hour, every hour, whenever you think you might start getting a little stiff, start getting a little uncomfortable. What we're doing right now is keeping our head really neutral. We're looking directly to the left, looking directly to the left. Oh, sorry, right, left, right, left, right. You don't have to contract all your muscles to pull yourself through full range of motion. You can start nice and gentle and pick up the range of motion as your muscles loosen up, as your joints warm up. You can do the same for the chin up and chin down, chin up, chin down, chin up, chin down. And we did the stretch. That was the first thing I showed you, but you can also do a version of that where it's very gentle on the neck. You're keeping your head neutral, right? You're not leaning too far in any crazy direction. You're sitting up pretty straight and you're letting the head tilt directly to the left. You bring your ear down to your shoulder. And you're doing the other side. Ear to your shoulder. 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 Remember, this isn't about going ear to your shoulder and contracting every single muscle possible to bring your head down. You don't have to do that. You can try to let your head just pull itself down and slowly work up to a little bit more range of motion comfortably. And then if you want, once you've done a bunch of those, your neck is warmed up, you can add a little bit more contraction. You can try to pull yourself a little deeper if you want. But don't start that way. All right. Start gentle. Let your body slowly wake up, undo some of this tenseness with movement. Is that all I got for tech? I think that's all I got for neck. Rose has already said thank you. You're very welcome. Okay. I think that is probably all the comments. If I have missed something, throw it into the chat ASAP because I'm going to get ready to wrap up because we've been doing this for like 2 hours. 2 hours and 10 minutes. I think it takes about 10 seconds for me saying stuff in real life to be fully transmitted to the other side of the internet for you to see what's happening so you can respond to my request for sending in last second questions. But if you are done, I got one last call to action that I just remembered. I was like, why didn't I say this earlier? If you're looking for a more, another way to work with me specifically more, shoot me a message. Let me know. And the reason why I'm asking you this is because I'm trying to build out some other programming. I'm trying to figure out and understand what you guys need so I can create stuff for you guys, the people who hang out all the way to the end of my life, who really believe in the types of things that I am talking about, who want to work on mobility, moving better, having cool shoulders and hips and back things going on. If that sounds like something of interest to you, shoot me a message and let's talk. I would love to pick your brain. I'm not selling you anything, all right? So it's not right now at least, because I haven't built anything. But I would love to know what you're struggling with. And at the worst case, you spend a couple minutes with me. We talk about stuff that you're struggling with. I give you some pointers, some advice, and we just go back to doing live stuff, right? I'm just collecting information. I'm trying to understand the people who are here. Cool? So shoot me a message. We can chat over texts or messages or iMessage or whatever. We can hop on a Zoom call if you'd like. I prefer the Zoom call. But if that's uncomfortable for you, don't feel like you're pressured to do that. Cool? All right. Now that you know that, it's time for me to go hang out with peoples and enjoy my weekend. I hope you have a wonderful weekend as well. We have, stopped doing movement like an hour ago. So if you are totally cooled off, I hope you're doing some wiggling, some shaking, some movement, and I hope you crush whatever else you have to do for the rest of the day. All right? Goodbye, everyone. I am closing up. Hit follow, hit subscribe, I guess.